Hi guys, it's me for the Cook Islands, as the Cook Islanders are closely related to the indigenous New Zealand and French Polynesians, also known as the Maori people, as the Maori people have no written history, but historians believe that Polynesian migrations from the society islands of French Polynesia to the Cook Islands around the 5th century AD, as oral history speak of around 1,500 years ago of Polynesian activity on Rarotonga as the Maori, or religious meeting ground, on tiny Motutapu on Rarotonga's Maori Lagoon. It's estimated to be about 1,500 years old. In the 14th century, a great ocean-going vaka or canoe, departing from Rarotonga to Aotearoa, New Zealand, and settlers were ancestors to present-day New Zealand Maori. And during his disastrous second voyage from Spanish-occupied Peru, Don Alvaro de Mendana y Navia came upon Pucapoca on the 20th of August 1595, as it would die months later in the Solomon Islands, and 11 years later Mendana's chief pilot, Pedro Fernandez de Queiroz, has another Pacific expedition, stopping at Rakahanga, as James Cook explored the Cook Islands in 1773 and 79, and only ever setting foot on Palmerston and never finding Rarotonga, as Cook named the group of the Hervey Islands in honour of British Lord of the Admiralty, and in his 1835 Atlas the Ocean Pacific, Russian explorer and cartographer Adam Johann van Krusenstern renamed them in honour of Captain Cook, as Reverend John Williams of London Missionary Society, or LMS, arrived in on Aitutaka, in 1821 and in 1823. Pepeha, a convert from Raita in the societies, moved to Rarotonga and set about converting the islanders to Christianity. Although many Maori were destroyed and sacrificed artifacts were carted off to British museums, as much of the island's culture survived, including the traditional titles of Ariki, or chief, and Matai Po, or sub-chief, as land inheritance systems and indigenous languages. The missionaries imposed a catalogue of rituals and doctrines known as the Blue Laws, but they also brought diseases like whooping cough, measles, smallpox, and influenza, leading to a long-term decline of the population, as the Cook Islands became a British protectorate in 1888 as a responsive fear of French colonialisation. But in 1901, the islands were annexed by New Zealand, and the southern and northern groups together became known as the Cook Islands. During World War II, the US built airstrips on Penrhyn and Aitutaki, but the Cook Islands escaped the war largely unscathed, unlike many of the other South Pacific neighbours. And in 1965, the Cook Islands became entirely self-governing in free association with New Zealand, as self-maintenance governance was achieved. Successive Cook Island governments have struggled to maintain fiscal balance. In the early 1990s, a series of bad investments, including the failed Sheraton Resort on Rarotonga's south coast, left the country in almost 250 million New Zealand dollars in debt, representing 113% of the national GDP, or gross domestic product, and economic stabilisation plan in 1996 / public spending and public sector workforce. As many islands voted with their feet and left for greater opportunities in New Zealand and Australia, as the population decline in the country and the country's national debt remained the country's major issue. as growth in tourism is a major ongoing opportunity, especially from New Zealand and Australia, as the countries experienced strong visitor numbers in 2015, as the Cook Islands celebrated 50 years of independence. And the Cook Islands language is similar to found on many other Pacific islands, as there's a total of 5 living languages spoken on the Cook Islands. And it may surprise you to learn that aside from Cook Island Maori, English and the other official Cook Island languages, therefore it's not essential to learn the Cook Island language if you're planning on visiting for a holiday. But if you're interested, there can be, if you're interested in learning more, I'll link the thingy in the in the description. As the Cook Island Maori is also known as Rarotongan, named after the island's capital and the most commonly spoken form of Maori within the country. But islands more often refer to it as Te Reo Ipukarea, which quite literally translates to the language of the ancestral homeland, and in 2003 Cook Island Maori was named the official Cook Islands language, and is most likely related to New Zealand and Tahitian Maori, and it is estimated that 42,700 people speak it, including the Cook Islands of Aitiki, Atui, Mangaia, Matia, Aro and Maoke, as all islands have, and it's expected that many of them have different accents and some unique words for ways of as they speak kind of thing. Yeah, for further information, look at the link that I'll place in the description below at some point, as I will be going out later, hence the reason why I'm rushing it a little bit. And then moving on to legends, as on the western side of Rarotonga stood a very proud mountain, and her name was Maru, and she was higher than any of the other mountains. As in fact, Maru would hide the sunrise during the dawn and her shadow, giving the people of the village more time to sleep, as the mountain was the envy of other villagers, as they wished they could have a mountain just as high and as useful as Maru. As the fame of Maru reached across the sea to other islands, as the people on the islands of Aitutaki were especially interested to hear about the high mountain called Maru in Rarotonga, because the island was flat. The chiefs Rangi and Tamatoa decided on a plan, as they called their strongest warriors together and built large canoes to make special tools to take with them to Rarotonga, as the Aitutaki warriors said the prayers to the mighty god Rongo and sailed for the island, as they planned their arrival in the early hours of the night. And one day after one day on the sea, they spotted Rarotonga and the peak of Maru, as the warriors went ashore and through a tricky inlet, whilst the people of Pauikuri were sound asleep. They worked fast, cutting the mountain in a few hours before doing the more difficult task of somehow carrying the mountain in their waiting canoes and getting them home. As the grunts, puffs and lifting noises told the Pauikura people that something unusual was going on, as they thought the chopping noises which had awakened them were spiritual activities, but the grunts were human. As the Pauikura warriors went inland to investigate and saw their intruders carrying their beloved Maru away, as they gave chase to the Aitutaki and had seen them, as the chase resulted in pieces of rocks being dropped and falling, as the Aitutaki ran, hanging on to their prize as they made it to the canoes and pushed off before the Kara warriors could catch them, as they paddled hard and lost sight of the island of Rarotonga before daylight, and after 4 days of hard work they reached a Tuataki. Tiring in their last efforts, pieces of the mountain fell lay the Maori in the village of Amuri as well. The amount that they'd lost reduced the size of the hill massively, as they renamed the hill Maugapo, meaning top of the mountain, in remembrance of their achievements. As well back on Rarotonga, the people of Puikura were preparing for a search, as life wasn't the same without Maora, as the sunrise came early each morning and disturbed their sleep. But before their war canoes could be finished, they discovered waking up early had its advantages, and they could, for example, catch bigger and better fish at daybreak, as they soon abandoned cars, staying put and getting used to the new shorter mountain. So yeah, that is the Cook Islands for you. Sorry I haven't rushed it a lot, but I do have to kind of get out of here, as I'm going to see like my grandma and all that. So yeah, bye for now.